What's up everyone? Alex here. Baldur's Gate 3 has no shortage of RPG systems, and with an epic tale that has you in complete control of the game's narrative, there's a lot to consider. That said, if this is your first time playing something like this, the wealth of choices may be overwhelming. In this video, I'm going to walk you through aspects of its gameplay, as well as some really cool features to help you navigate through Baldur's Gate 3. My ultimate goal is to impart enough knowledge for you to use to help push you towards exploring the game on your own, while at the same time minimizing the frustration of learning a new style of play. There's always something to learn in Baldur's Gate 3, so don't beat yourself up for not knowing everything. This is primarily written from the perspective of a JRPG fan, but I've no doubt that no matter what kind of newcomer you are, you'll find a lot of great tips here. So let's get started. Battles aren't the only way to gain experience. If you're used to Japanese-style RPGs, chances are you've been conditioned to battle every single enemy you encounter to make your characters level up. In Baldur's Gate 3, however, you can use your skills to completely bypass these battles and still receive a healthy heaping of experience points. Granted, you do have the choice of attacking everyone in the game, but not every battle is tuned to your favor, and oftentimes, diplomacy is the best way to get through a sticky situation. But if you do choose battle, pay close attention to your environment and take advantage of it. Back in the day, we had a saying, if you see a barrel in an FPS, blow it up, it'll cause splash damage. That adage, and many others like it, applies when engaging in Baldur's Gate 3's combat. There may be hanging chandeliers that you can shoot, having it crash down onto unsuspecting enemies, barrels of explosives that'll toast enemies in its fiery range, and so much more that you only need to keep an eye out for them. And if they're not present or you just can't be bothered to look, take a peek into your items and see if you have things like grease, throw them at your foes, and light it on fire with either a spell or a flaming arrow. Outside of battle, you can also do all sorts of neat things with your attacks, such as firing an arrow at a switch across a room to shut a sturdy door closed. I'll say this again because this is important. The key to playing Baldur's Gate 3 is to not get too stuck on the notion that there's only one way to do things. Rather, the game wants you to think creatively to try and solve problems in the easiest way possible, within the confines of your imagination, and the game's systems, of course. Updating gear regularly isn't as important as other RPGs. In other RPGs, whenever you encounter a new settlement, that usually means it's time to upgrade every party member's gear and equipment. In Baldur's Gate 3, you don't have to. I want to be clear, however, this statement doesn't mean never update your gear. Rather, this simply means that you shouldn't put so much emphasis on buying new gear because the improvements are typically minimal. However, when you start encountering gear with +1s, 2s, or 3s, which are typically found while you're out and about, now those are the ones you should be paying attention to. You can change your character's class once you've unlocked the ability to do so. By completing the quest called Explore the Ruins, you'll unlock the ability to change your character's class at your camp. But be forewarned that this will cost you 100 coins, so you don't need to restart the game if you don't like the class that you chose. If you want a guide to complete this quest, I've linked both a written and a video guide in the description below. Here's how cantrips and spells work. Some spells in Baldur's Gate 3 are categorized as cantrips. Cantrips are basically free spells that don't need to be equipped or consume a spell slot, which is what Baldur's Gate 3 uses as opposed to MP. Naturally, this is going to differ depending on class and setup, but this is the general gist of it. Additionally, you can replenish some of your spell slots via short rest while adventuring, or by going to the camp and resting there. Speaking of camp, you can access camp at any time outside of combat. Baldur's Gate 3 offers a way to replenish part of your health and resources by allowing you to do a short rest twice during your adventures. But what if you just wanted to replenish all of your health and resources? That's where the camp comes in. You can access camp by simply selecting the option, which will whisk you away to a makeshift camp at the current location you're in. When you initiate camp, you'll notice that some of your companions might get exclamation points on their heads shortly after, indicating that they want to speak with you. Make sure you check these out so you can get some great backstories for your characters. Also, you'll be needing supplies to fully replenish your health and resources, so any fruit, food, or supplies you found along the way will need to be used to do so. Otherwise, you can also do a short rest at camp at no cost. There's no negative benefit to abusing camp, and for beginners, you might want to consider using this regularly to ensure that your team has a fighting chance, because you'll never know what odds Baldur's Gate 3 might throw against you in the next turn. Abuse quick save and quick load. Baldur's Gate 3's Faerun is a deadly unforgiving place, and it was purposely designed this way because they know that many players will be save scumming to get the best results. In case you're unfamiliar with the term, save scumming refers to using quick save before any crucial moment in the game, and then quick loading when things don't go your way. I encourage new players to get used to using quick save and quick load. A little note about save scumming. Many of the choices you make in Baldur's Gate 3 will have ramifications later on in the game, so while the immediate result might be altered to be more positive, consider how that choice might result into something else later on. Baldur's Gate 3 can be unforgiving, but it doesn't have to be, especially given the many skills and tools you have at your disposal. So try crazy things, but make sure you've got that quick save handy in case things get a little too crazy. Controller support also improves legibility. This one is less of a tip, but more of an FYI. If you simply can't wait for the console versions to come out, like myself, the PC version does feature controller support. But the folks at Larian actually takes things one step further. As soon as the game detects that you're using a controller, the entire interface switches to a more controller-friendly UI, which has the interesting quirk of improving the legibility of the text. This is especially great for living room PC setups where you have to sit from afar. Best of all is that Larian will continue to update this control scheme and UI leading up to the eventual PS5 release. Now that's great support. That said, I know the game can be overwhelming, and maybe you still need a little bit more general help, so post your questions in the comments below. Also, if you're a veteran of these kinds of games and want to help out newcomers, please feel free to post your top tips and advice in the comments below. And above all else, let's talk about it. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.